in the Philippines. I'm having my morning cup of tea, green tea, on my Boss Rooster cup right there. Let me just make sure I'm online here. Hope everyone is having a good day. There it is. Looks like I'm online. Looks like I'm online. Getting my day started here. I already did my morning walk. I always get up early. I'm a morning person. I'm up super early. Usually around 4:30 a.m. I'm usually up already, and by 5 a.m. I'm usually out the door, doing my morning walk. I love my morning walks because I get to watch the sunrise. And today's spectacular sunrise here in the Philippines. And now it is hot already. It's at least, it says here on the weather app, on the AccuWeather app, it says it feels like 85 degrees already. We're not even 7 a.m. and it's already feeling like, and it is because I got the fan blowing here. It's gonna be another warm day here in the Philippines for sure. Henry, we're doing this more in there. All right. I try to do the live streams every other day. Like if I do it today, tomorrow's my day off, and then the following day. I try to keep that schedule every other day of live streams. Kumusta? Lowell from Oregon. Mabuti ako kapatid. Salamat. Maraming salamat kapatid. God bless my brother. Jeffrey, good morning, brother Gino. Good morning from Quezon City, right? I think I remember you're in Quezon City. Derek, good morning. I just did, yeah, right. See right there, Derek. He's also on a walking program while he's vacationing here in the Philippines. He's got a 3 month vacation here in the Philippines in southern Leyte. He's posting almost every day. He's doing that Strava walking app. He's posting like a morning walk, afternoon walk. That's what people do here. Most people that come to the Philippines when they're retired here in the Philippines, they get into a walking program, daytime, sunset time, because of the weather. We just got amazing weather here, even during the rainy season. Right now, it's already considered rainy start of the rainy season. We are now in Habagat. Habagat is monsoon season here in the Philippines. The winds coming from the west. Actually, we're expecting more rain this month here in Western Visayas because Habagat. The winds have definitely changed here in Western Visayas, like in Boracay Island. Normally in Boracay Island, when you vacation in Boracay Island on White Beach, Boracay, usually February, March, April, May, uh, calm, calm on White Beach, Boracay. Sometimes there's days where absolutely no waves. It looks like a gigantic swimming pool on White Beach, Boracay. But now that we're into the Habagat season, the winds shift. Now the winds are on White Beach. Waves are on White Beach. They're actually putting those bamboo structures with the plastic to cover the restaurants and shops in White Beach, Boracay, because it's now Habagat season. Stronger winds on White Beach, stronger waves on White Beach, Boracay. But many people still go to Boracay. My good friend Roy, he does YouTube and Facebook lives on White Beach, Boracay, and I'm watching his videos. Lots of people still, especially during sunset in Boracay Island. Good morning, brother Gino, my brother Jokano. The good boy. Good morning. All right, from Australia. I know there's many people that watch our channel, also live streams from Australia. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A good friend of mine, Dean. Dean, he actually got one of those. I got him one of those Dazzle TV cups. I sent it when his girlfriend visited here in Numancia, and I made sure Dean got it. And he's from he lives in the outback. He lives in the outback in Australia. Hey, Derek and Lowell from Jokanu. stories from the sky, the legend. Yeah, the legend. I don't know about the legend now, but thank you for the kind words there, my friend. Rain. Hi from Nevada. All right, Nevada. I have a really good one of my favorite cousin. My favorite cousin in the of all my cousins. He lives in Las Vegas, and me and him, we always. He's older than me, but I like community. I've always looked at him as my older brother, giving me good advice through most of my life. He's in his 70s. I'm gonna be 60 years old here in August, but he lives in Las Vegas. He tells me he loves going to a seafood city. Yeah, he loves going to seafood city for some Filipino food. He tells me. Morning, Joe. God bless from Lowell. Gino, how long will it take me to learn Tagalog? I had trouble with Spanish. Tagalog, I mean, just the basic. I mean, you don't really need to like learn to be like real proficient. Just know the basic, like how to thank people, salamat po, markano po, like everything with po, just kind of respectful. But if you're living here in the Philippines, I've seen people pick up the Tagalog language in like 6 months to a year. I've seen people. It just depends on how much you're exposed to it every day. Like if you're here, if you're living with a Filipina, for sure you're gonna pick up some Tagalog words. But it's Tagalog that you want to learn because Tagalog is spoken in the entire country. The TV shows on TV are in Tagalog, so that's the dialect or the language you want to learn here in the Philippines. But shouldn't be too hard. Shouldn't be too hard. Michael C. Hey, my brother in Tagaytay, man. Michael C. Man, I watched his video. He just moved into a Twin Lakes residences in Tagaytay. Amazing condominium, man. It's like living the high life now, man. It's like condos, like plush condominium. Got a view of Tagaytay from his balcony. Man, so happy for my friend Michael C. Good morning, bro. Feels like, see, he's like 72, man. Out, man, I can only dream of 72 degrees Fahrenheit here we're already like 85, 86. It's already warm. I already have the fan blowing on me. If I don't have the fan, I'd be sweating in here. JP Calibo, good morning, Gino and the posse. All right, JP. I was texting with JP yesterday. Hit the like, people. Don't forget. Thank you, JP. Good morning, JP. God bless. Rock and Jazz are visiting. All right, they're staying at the La Casa Española. That's all right. That's all right. I'm sure you're showing them around. I'm sure you're showing them La Casa Española. That's awesome, JP. I had dinner with them last night, and they are staying across the courtyard for me. Oh, all right, awesome, awesome. I remember last year I had James and Karen stay there at La Casa Española. It was Dazzle's, I think it was Dazzle's birthday last July. And we reserved them a room there at La Casa Española so they can, because, you go karaoke, it's late at night when we were done. So they stayed there also at La Casa Española. Great place to stay. La Casa Española is not just an apartment, it's also an Airbnb. You can stay there daily, weekly, monthly. You can be a long-term resident there, like JP Calibo now. He's been living there since December, and JP loves it. He loves living there at La Casa Española apartments in Calibo. Good morning, JP and Dazzle community. Michael C. All right, thank you. Hey, there he is. Just I was just talking about you, James and Karen. James, I was talking about you were able to stay at La Casa Española too last year after Dazzle's birthday. Now Rock and Jazz, I guess, are staying at La Casa Española also, and JP's been hanging out with them. Good morning, Lowell, Michael C. Jokano. Hey, there's Merle. There's Merle in Boracay. Man, we need to change your name, man. You should name yourself Merle in Boracay. Merle in Boracay. Good morning, Kuya Gino, Panay Pasi, to all the viewers. This is, there you go, Mr. Boracay. Okay, I'm going to start calling you Merle, Mr. Boracay, Mr. Boracay. Morning, James and Karen. God bless. And I'm gonna see Merle. I told Merle. I invited him. We're all gonna head to the Canadian Beaver for the next expat get together. For the expat get together is always the second Sunday of each month, and Dazzle and I will be there for the next expat get together. James and Karen will be there. Also, JP's going to be there. I even invited Merle. I told Merle, ride with me. Leave Boracay for a few days. Let's go to Roa City and check out. That way he can see Roa City. And I think Merle had plans to go to Iloilo City also after going to Roa City. So it should be a lot of fun. It's June 14th. June 14th is the next expat get together at the Canadian Beaver, Roja City, right on Bye Bye Beach. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. Edgar too. I invited Edgar. So I invited Mel, but Mel had something going on already. So and then Brian and Gloria, they're headed to back to Houston. They're headed back to the States. Ruben's right now, Ruben, he vacationed in Hawaii. Then Ruben, now he's in San Diego, California. He won't be back. He won't be back until I think the uh, later part of June. But it still should be a lot of fun going to the Canadian Beaver. We haven't been there in a while for Dazzle and I think the last time was Christmas when we attended the Christmas party at Mike and Kat's house in the beach at their beach house. Morning, JP and Merle. Jukadu, JP. Good morning, JK. Gino had you vlogged the public market where it is now near Calibo. No, I haven't vlogged that. The public market right now in Calibo because they're renovating. Any day now, it looks like it's almost done. The new public market in Calibo. So now what they've done, if ever since they were building the renovating the Calibo public, they just put the public market on this one street by close to the cemetery, and it's tight, man. It's tight in there, and it's crowded all the time. I haven't filmed it at JP because one of the things, man, I try to avoid like really crowded spaces like that because I'm immunocompromised. It's like if I do, I'd have to wear a mask. And if I catch any illness there or anything, Dazzle will kill me. Because she tells me all the time, to, avoid places like that where there's just too many people. Unfortunately, a lot of times people in crowded places here, sometimes they're sick already. They don't wear a mask. They don't cover their mouth, and you'd be like, people coughing. It seems like people forgot about COVID already. That you can transmit a disease by coughing, but it is what it is. That's why I try to avoid. I try to avoid that crowded area, especially that the public market there. It's the public market is basically it became like it used to be two-way street, but they installed like these stalls on one side of the street, so it basically became one lane, and then just like a massive amount of people there, massive amount of people. All right, let me see. I did the Numancia weather already. It says here maybe thunderstorms in the afternoon. Later on, maybe we get some thunderstorms here. Very common during habagat season here in the Philippines. Uh, it'd be sunny all day, and then right around sunset, 5 p.m., there'll be like a thunderstorm, and it's a serious thunderstorm too. Thunder, lightning, strong, strong thunder and lightning, and then it'll downpour. And part of that downpour, like that's happening now, especially in Metro Manila. I saw some pictures on my Facebook. This time of the year, because it's Habagat, start of rainy season, it doesn't take much in Manila to flood. That is like always been the problem in Manila ever since I was a kid. When I was a kid in the Philippines, I lived in Quezon City. I would go to school in Letron College in Intramuros, Manila. That's about 45 minutes to an hour for me every day, one way, going to school and then coming home on a jeepney. In that area where I used to pass, I had two choices. One was España, the other one was like Santa Cruz, I think was the area. two routes going to Manila, but man, those places get flooded so quick, you know, and that's always been the problem. That's why they started that flood control project. That didn't really help. You know, that didn't really help. You know, the politicians just stole the money for the flood projects. But it's always been a problem in Manila. You get a downpour in Manila, you know, like an hour or two of rain. Next thing you know, you're like in waist deep water, you know, on the road, because a lot of your areas where they're supposed to build flood control, like the drainage and all that, it'll be clogged up with garbage and trash. So, you know, there's no place for the water to go but on the streets. That's why it floods so easy in Metro Manila. Many areas in Quezon City, España, I mean, just notorious for like flooding. And then it's chaos once it floods in Metro Manila, because it's already massive traffic, and you add in flooding, you know, it's like it'll take you hours sometimes to get home. I remember going home from school. I would go to school, and then, you know, it'll be downpouring and we still go to school, and then they'll suspend classes at like 9 a.m. So I had to make my way home to Quezon City. There's no more jeepneys, it's flooded. It would sometimes take me 4 or 5 hours to get home, you know, and that hasn't changed. That dynamic has never changed. Even that's the 70s. We're like 50 years later, the same dynamic. It's probably gotten worse because there's more vehicles now in Manila. There's more traffic. You know, insane amount of traffic in Metro Manila. All right, the Pag-asa. I'm looking at the Pag-asa. No more typhoon. That typhoon Doming, it hit northern Luzon. It's out of the Philippine area of responsibility. For the Metro Manila, the rest of the country, it says cloudy skies and scattered rains and thunderstorms, all because of the monsoon season, because of Habagat. That's why we're now going to get more rain. June is always the start, more rain in June, but come from July, August, September, October, those 4 months, I'm predicting those 4 months, we're going to get at least 15 typhoons during those 4 months. So if you're planning on visiting the Philippines, you know, that's why I always tell people, try to visit like January to May. You know, that way your chances of a typhoon is a lot less. I mean, it's still happened. You know, we've already had 4 typhoons this year, but July to October, we're gonna get at least 15 typhoons here in the Philippines. October being seems to be the worst. October seems to be. I remember one year we had like 5 typhoons back to back to back. Every week we were having typhoons in October. We're pretty lucky. We're blessed here in Western Visayas. We only get hit maybe one, two at the most typhoons here in Western Visayas. A lot of the typhoons here in the Philippines hits like Eastern Visayas, the area, Leyte, Samar, uh, the Central Luzon, the Bicol region, and then Northern Luzon. If you live in like the Cagayan, Ilocos Norte area, half of the typhoons hit that area. Same thing, same dynamic in the U.S., right? If you live in the U.S., majority of your typhoons are in Florida or in the Gulf of America. On the Gulf of America. All right, Derek. Those videos bring back memory. I know Derek. Derek was sharing me videos. He sent it to me yesterday. I was watching them. It just brought back a lot of memories for me. I was stationed at Clark Air Base in Angeles City, United States Air Force back 1988 to 91. And he was sending me videos of like the Far East Network. That was like our TV back then. Rusty Wallace or Rusty, what was his name? Rusty Barfield or something. Rusty Barfield, the host of the FEN back then. He was sending me videos. Just brought back a lot of good memories for me. Clark and Subic was a lot of fun back in the day. Puka Beach is a beautiful beach to swim. Played basketball in the nice, right, Merle? Yeah. Dazzle and I, Merle, that's where Dazzle and I had our reception for our wedding 10 years ago now, April 2016. That's where we had our reception at the Puka Beach. Back then, they had a Puka Grande restaurant at the entrance. They closed that now. We had them cater, and we had our reception. They put tables, they put chairs right on the beach, right on the sand. I don't think they allow that anymore at Puka Beach. They're pretty strict now. A lot of rules now at Puka Beach. One of my favorite beach. Probably out of all the beach in Boracay, Puka is my favorite. You just gotta watch it when you swim at Puka because of the current, very strong current at Puka, and then it's not like White Beach Boracay. When in White Beach Boracay, you can go 50, sometimes 75 yards, and the water will be like this high. Not even chest high. But on Puka Beach, it's like the minute you get in the water, it like drops pretty fast. Deep water, very quick. But beautiful, beautiful beach, Puka Beach. And time for you to get a bicycle, man, because I used to ride from Station 3 to Puka Beach almost every day, back and forth each day. And I'm sure you saw Merle going to Puka Beach, all the hill that's going up the by City Mall, Boracay. You see a lot of climbing on a bicycle. And I remember riding my bicycle when I lived there in Boracay. All right. The dollar. I always report on the dollar to peso exchange rate 61.63. Very close to the all time high. All time high is like 61.75. So only like 12 cents. So, I'm pretty sure we're going to hit 62 pesos on the dollar here. All right, let me get to my news. My news. I always report on the different news here in the Philippines. Not as much news. Thank goodness. We've been having a lot of bad news here. Seems like. All right, regarding that building that collapsed, that 9-story hotel that they were building in Angeles City. The death toll now on that. They're digging through the rubble. It wasn't an earthquake or anything. It just the building just collapsed in Angeles City near Walking Street, Red Street, the red light district. Not far from that, maybe a couple of blocks away from that. The building collapsed. They were building a brand new 9-story hotel that collapsed. They're digging through the rubble. So far, unfortunately, 21 deaths, casualties on that, fatalities. Prayers go out to the families of those affected for sure. And really unfortunate, they even found an infant. They found an infant. A lot of times, like I mentioned in the previous live streams, when they do construction here on a building like that, a 9-story hotel, the workers end up sleeping there. They live there. Like they might pick a floor where they're living while they're building the building. And even if they don't have plumbing, all that, a lot of the construction workers they'll make do living there. And unfortunately, there was an infant probably visiting the parent or something. You just never know because that's how it is here. Sometimes not just the construction workers are in the building. Sometimes like a wife and a kid. So very unfortunate. They're of course they're gonna investigate that. They're gonna investigation. More to come here, but they're still in the retrieval stage. It's gonna take a while. It's like that is a lot of debris, cement blocks, metal. It's gonna take them time to clear that out. It actually blocked one of the the street where when the building pancake it collapsed on the street, so the whole street now is blocked by the debris from that collapse. I talked a little bit about the flooding starting to happen in Metro Manila. That's always, like I said, it's always been a problem. It's not a new thing in Metro Manila. It's been flooding in Metro Manila for the last 50 years or more. There's just a lot of areas in Metro Manila. that are flood prone, sometimes below sea level, even. Because of all the construction they've made in the past, there's just a lot of areas in Metro Manila that they just didn't design it well. Again, they were trying to do the flood projects, but unfortunately, some of that money got stolen. Uh, the flooded areas during it's happening already. These areas right here, they just have thunderstorm. Like I said, 1 hour, 2 hour rain. Next thing you know, these are the flooded areas. Rojas Street, Maria Clara Street near Araneta Avenue, Santo Domingo Avenue, Calamba Street, NS Amorato Street, NLEX connector. So it's always a problem. One thing to consider if you're thinking of living in Metro Manila, dealing with the traffic, the congestion, and then flooding. Common causes of flooding in Metro Manila: heavy and continuous rainfall, clogged drainage systems. Again, a lot of garbage gets thrown illegally. They're not supposed to throw garbage in the drainage system, but people do it. They do it at night. They do it when the police aren't looking. They'll dump garbage in the drainage system. Low-lying roads and intersections, limited water flow in canals and waterways, and then sudden thunderstorms. Very common. If you live in Metro Manila, or you've stayed in Metro Manila, you've seen flooding. You've seen flooding. It doesn't take much to flood in different parts of Metro Manila. All right, let me do that. Delete that way I don't have that. Air Asia. I saw this article on Air Asia. Air Asia. They are suspending their travel. Air Asia starting July 1st, so less than a month. To Palawan. They're no longer going to fly to Palawan. Air Asia. Uh, hopefully temporary stop. uh the reason for it, there's just not many people going to Palawan, maybe because we're now starting into school season. Kids are back in school. The airfare has gone extremely high extremely high on airline tickets here. It's like not even worth it to travel domestic. So Air Asia, they're suspending their flights to Palawan. So if you're going to fly to Palawan, it's not going to be with Air Asia starting July 1st. They did the same thing in Cebu. I think Cebu. They did the same with Cebu Pacific. There was flights from Iloilo City to Dumaguete. They canceled, suspended that flight. There's just several flights. Maybe because of the energy crisis, the jet fuel are high, the airfare is high. People aren't just traveling domestic. All right, let me look at here. Look at here. Make sure. Oh, right there. I see. I'm seeing. Okay, all right. Ooh, there's a lot of comments all of a sudden, man. I got to make sure I get caught up. All right, there you go. Vaughn. Hello from Bacolod City. Hello, more power to the Panay Posse. All right, Vaughn. Hope you're having a good time in Bacolod. You're not far. I mean, you're like the next island below us. You're in Negros Island. It's like, and I know you're headed here to Panay Island to check it out. JP. Rock and Jazz are going on the Panay Loop. Oh, they're doing the Panay Loop. All right. I'm surprised you didn't join them. JP, I'm surprised you didn't join them. And they invited me. Yeah, that's it, to ride along. I'm going with them to Ibahay, and I will come back after. All right. It's like that's a good ride, from Calibo to Ibahay. That's a pretty good ride there, JP. Juan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone from Juan. JP Calibo, the Panay Posse Ambassador. That's for sure. That's for sure. JP, good morning, Juan. Hey, there's Baloo's Expat Life in Philippines. That's his channel. He's the Vanilla Farmer, my brother, the Vanilla Farmer in Leyte. Check out his channel right there. Good morning, Gino and all. Lowell, morning. Baluz, God bless. Was flash flooding mentioned? Flash flooding? That's basically it. I guess you can consider it flash flooding because that happens. Even in Bacolod, I know Bacolod City is one of those places. Even Calibo, these thunderstorms, when they hit, it's like a big downpour for like an hour, 2 hours. It'll flood. It'll flood. They don't stay long though. That's the thing about the floods here, even in Calibo. It might stay maybe a couple of hours, but it goes away pretty fast. But if you get caught in it, it's not a fun thing to get caught. They've had some flooding there in Bacolod. I remember last year, during the rainy season last year. Merle, I take the motorcycle ride in each ride. I got a free ride from two locals yesterday. People are really kind here. I'm also a suki at the store here. Yeah, right? You're gonna find that out. I keep telling Merle, he's becoming part of the community in Boracay. There's just good people in Boracay. I know people look at Boracay as a tourist destination. It's crowded, but if you're a local, if you're staying long term in Boracay like Merle, he's not affected by the tourism and all the crowded areas in Boracay. The main place where people go in Boracay Island is White Beach, Boracay. It's the same dynamic in Hawaii. Everybody goes to Waikiki, but Waikiki is not the Hawaii, right? Boracay is the same way. After White Beach, Boracay, there's like a dozen beaches in Boracay. That's not the only beach in Boracay. So I know Merle's experiencing it, all the different beaches. He lives in Diniwid Beach. He's seen White Beach. Now he's in Puka Beach yesterday. He's going to check out Iligan, Tambisan. There's just so many other beaches in Boracay. It's not just White. People, it cracks me up sometimes when people, they go to Boracay, they do the tourist thing, right? They do the tourist thing. They go to Boracay for like 3 nights or 4 days, and they go to like the most crowded places in Boracay, like the whole, in Station Two, where it's noisy. There's clubs, there's drinking, and then they go, "Oh, I hate Boracay. I'd rather go to like quiet Palawan." I'm like, dude, there are places in Boracay where you don't have to party, where you don't have to be on White Beach. There's quiet beaches in Boracay, but everybody just on I guess on a tourist package, they end up on White Beach, Boracay. But Merle, he's getting the full Boracay experience. He's playing basketball with the locals. He's getting free rides. He's getting free rides from the locals. He's getting fruits. People are giving him fruits. It's like from their fruit trees. Her neighbors are friendly. He's not getting the tourist experience. Merle is getting the local experience. We will be at Texas Filipino property on the 7th. All right, Vaughn, have fun, man. That's our first Panay Island stop. Merle, you are becoming local. Yeah, he's gonna be I already told Merle that, because when I landed in Boracay when I retired here in 2011, I spent my first 18 months in Boracay, and what Merle is experiencing, I experienced it for 18 months. It's like I know exactly what his day-to-day life. I know it's just amazing life in Boracay. There are best beaches to go on Oahu. Hawaii is Kailua, Makaha Beach. Exactly, right? See, Derek, same thing, right? Derek, all the tourists flock to Waikiki and those tall hotels facing the ocean. Everybody's staying there, right? But there's so many other beaches in Hawaii that you can visit. Same dynamic in Boracay. If people go to Boracay, they go to White Beach. That's the only thing they see in Boracay for like 3 days or 4 days, and they'll like either love it or dislike it. But if you spend the time and stay in Boracay 30 days, check out all the different beaches. You're gonna fall in love with Boracay. I also went to Angol and Bulabog Beach 2 days ago. I can even get taho and pay later. Oh, you get taho on credit now, and see, look at that. The taho guys is giving Merle on credit if he doesn't have any money with him. Hello, good morning, Emilio. Emilio in San Diego, California. Hello, Emilio. All right, let me see here. Oh, this one I wanted to report this. This is very important here. News here. I saw this. It says here your luggage tag, your luggage when you're flying from this person. I think was flying from Toronto, and flying from Toronto, your luggage tag could be used against you. It says here, drug syndicates are reportedly swapping baggage labels to frame innocent travelers in smuggling cases. Man, that's kind of scary, man, because you know how when you travel and you get attached to like drugs, like you're smuggling drugs, man. That's you're gonna spend some jail time. You're gonna spend jail time during that. The experts now, they are urging travelers to photograph their luggage and baggage time, the baggage tag on their luggage before every flight. Man, that's another thing that you got to worry about now when you're traveling. Right now, you got to take a picture of your luggage. You got to take a picture of the tag on your luggage. Probably best to like buy a luggage that's not common. Like if it's like a black, usually black is the common uh, luggage color. Probably get something different. Get a pink luggage or something. That way, it's not easy for them to like switch tags on you. But take a picture of your luggage. Take a picture of your baggage tag. One victim, 35-year-old Nicole from Toronto, was detained during a transit stop in Vancouver after officers discovered over 2.5 kilogram of suspected methamphetamine inside a suitcase carrying her luggage tag. Man, that would be scary. That would be scary, man. You're just trying to enjoy a vacation. Next thing you know, they're detaining you. They're detaining you, man. And when these reports like this happen, I know it happened in Canada, man, but the Philippines, the criminal element here in the Philippines, they're quick to pick up on these things. And so you know yeah, just to be safe, if you're traveling outside the United States, Canada, traveling to the Southeast Asia, before when you check in your luggage, take a picture of your luggage, take a picture of your tag on your luggage to make sure that when you end up at your destination, they switch tags on you. Next thing you know, you're transporting drugs. You at least have a picture to show them that, hey, that's not my luggage. That's not my luggage. And again, like me, I've always when I always travel with my luggage, I always try to make it something to identify it different from other luggage, because I mean, I haven't traveled in many years, but when I used to travel, I used to put straps on my bag, even sometimes duct tape, like yellow duct tape. That way, when my luggage comes out of that thing, you can kind of see it. Oh, that's my luggage. There's a big X, yellow X on it. Because a lot of times when you go at the airport, international flight, black color on the luggage is so common, and then it's easy, right? It's so easy to like pick up the wrong luggage sometimes, or somebody picking up your luggage wrong. So I always try to put something on my luggage, like I said, yellow duct tape, ribbons on the handle, something to before somebody picks up my luggage, they're gonna go, oh, that's not mine. I don't have like the things that go on the luggage, because that's happened many times. I know people that happens to people where somebody else similar luggage accidentally picks up your luggage. It's like, and then you're like at the airport, like, oh, where's my luggage? One, Taho credit is instant street credit. I know, right? You're a local once you get like the Taho credit. Derek, and carry your backpack in the front. Oh yeah, Derek, I've been carrying my backpack in the Philippines since I was a little kid. They taught me that here in the Philippines. Growing up, when I used to go to school, like from Quezon City to Manila, to Intramuros, Manila, I always carried my backpack like this in the jeepney. And then no, back then we didn't have to worry about phones. I never wore a watch, necklace, anything. You can't wear any of that when you're riding a jeepney or. Uh, don't be like in the jeepney, like texting somebody on your phone, especially if you got an iPhone. It's like don't do that. When you're traveling in a jeepney in Metro Manila, you backpack in front, or maybe even those. I see those bags that it's kind of like a strap to you. Make sure all your important money, cell phone. Don't wear any watch, jewelry, bracelet, necklace, because that's going to be stolen from you so fast in Metro Manila. Jeepneys, there's just people walking. That jeepney could be stuck in traffic. Next thing you know, somebody's grabbing your necklace, somebody's grabbing your watch and taking off. And you're not going to chase them, in traffic in Metro Manila, because they work in teams. The snatchers in Manila, they work in teams, and that's been going on for many years since I was a kid, in 50 years ago, and they've become elaborate. All the small crime like that has become elaborate over the years. Good morning, my brother Gino, Dazzle, Leanna, and mom, and fellow subscribers. Good morning, Raymond. God bless. God bless, my brother. Juan, thanks for the info, Gino. My route in from Philippines is through Vancouver, Toronto, and Atlanta. Oh yeah, man. It's like I've never heard of it till now. It's like I saw that article and I was like, dang. It's like they're switching tags on you. Next thing you know, you're transporting drugs. You're like picking up your luggage with your tag, and they're going like, "Is this your luggage?" I'll be like, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me look at the photo on my phone and make sure that's my luggage. The Taho seller said his net income in 5 hours. The workers in hotels. I know, man. I figured that out, Merle, a long time ago with the Taho vendors in Boracay. Because here in Numancia, if I buy Taho here in Numancia, I can buy like a 10 peso cup or a 20 peso. 20 peso cup is a big cup, like this size cup for the 20 pesos, about 30 US cents. In Boracay, the same cup, minimum 50. So I know the taho vendors make good money in Boracay. The ones that yell taho, they're like on Front Beach. But man, that's hard work still, though, man. You're carrying that thing, that you got the bamboo, two big buckets of taho, pretty heavy, walking around. It's like bending over, scooping the taho. I mean, for 5 hours, pretty good income, but it's not easy. Plus, you got to lug that taho. I'm sure they don't make it in Boracay, so it's got to come from the mainland. So you got to get on the ferry with that taho. You got to carry that on the boat, on the ferry. It's like you got to get up the ramp there for the ferry. So it's not all easy. It's not all easy. I mean, he's earned a 2,500 a day for sure. 2,000 profit on his. The Expat Information Network is partly what I am here for. All right, Bon. I know James and Care. I know James is working with our Rev Fred. Rev Fred. I know they're working on a website kind of thing. I think that's the thought. It's like an information network. Rev Fred actually shared with me, and I looked. I mean, it looks like an awesome website. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. Quick question, Gino. What place did you stay at when you were going through your treatment? When I was in Iloilo City for 4 months, Dazzle and I, we lived there for 4 months. We stayed at the Uptown Place condominium, right on the Esplanade. Like we had very nice 5-story complex. They have a generator. And we never lost electricity. The minute electricity cuts off, the generator kicks on. 5 stories. We had a swimming pool. We had a gym. Uh, Behind the condo, there's a walkway from our condominium. There's a walkway to the Esplanade. So I had a view of Iloilo River every day. We were on the 5th floor, so on the balcony, I would sit there in the balcony. Man, that helped me so much. That helped me so much during those 4 months, because I pretty much couldn't do anything. It's like I had like a camping chair. I would just sit there, look at the Iloilo River, and then I was just thankful. At least I'm breathing fresh air. You know, it's like I could see the river. I could see people riding their bike, jogging. Meant a lot to my uh, mental health. You know, being doing that because even when I was going through my cancer treatments, my radiation, my chemo, I would still try to walk at the Esplanade, maybe 10, 15 minutes. I couldn't walk a lot, but for me, it was still good that I was doing that. But love that place, man. It's a really nice area. You're right there. You're not far if you're like a Uptown Place condominium. You can actually walk to SM. You can actually walk to SM City Iloilo. It's about, I would say, about a 2 kilometer walk. You know, it's like, I mean, I know for some people that's a long walk, but for me, I love walking. 2 kilometers for me, it's like, that's a cakewalk for me. I'm due for a run to Cebu just for coffee and American. All right, Belize, all right, man. The Cebu grocery. Now we have rains. Farms, smiling, lots of vanilla cuttings coming. All right, yeah. Now you don't have a problem. Before, I know Belize was like, you know, they took that big water container, man. It's like gigantic the guys were headed on the bamboo, carrying it up down the mountain, up the hill. I was like, dang, man, you got some hard workers there, Belize. But now you don't have to worry about water. Now you're gonna have overabundance of water now, man. The rainy season is here. Now you got too much water. Now you got too much water. You miss, oh my bad, it's called Uptown. Uptown, UPTOWN, Uptown Place condominiums. Really nice. I just was looking at Uptown Place not too long ago. I think they're one bedroom. Different prices, of course, because a lot of times different owners of the condominium. Usually, their one bedroom was going for like 20 to 22,000 pesos a month, about 350, around $350, fully furnished one bedroom. The two bedrooms was going around 30,000. So that's about $500 for the two bedroom. But really nice. Everything's within walking distance. You know, it's like easy access to everything. Our city Iloilo, where I was having my chemo treatments. It was only like I wouldn't drive. I didn't drive it anymore, but when I was having chemo because I was worried about the drive home. Um, Less than 100 pesos, less than $2 on a taxi from Uptown Place to Medical City Iloilo, and then the other one to like my radiation treatments was right beside SNR. That I drove to my radiation treatments. My radiation treatments were like 5 p.m. to like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Um, and from Uptown Place condominium, it's like maybe a kilometer and a half. Uptown Place condominium. It's an older condominium, Vaughn. I mean, if I was gonna do it again, if I was there not for the treatments, if I was just staying in Iloilo City, I probably recommend Avida Towers more. The two choices would be if I had to move to Iloilo City and I was gonna live in a condo, probably my first choice would be Avida Towers because you're right there by the Atria. You're right there by SNR. Like you can see SNR, you can see the Atria. And then my second choice would be One Madison Place by Festive Mall. But they're a little bit more pricier. The Uptown Place is cheaper. Free parking at Uptown Place. A lot of your other condominiums like Avida Towers and One Madison, they charge you for parking. So if you have a vehicle, they'll charge you sometimes up to 5,000 pesos a month for parking. That's why I like Uptown Place because free parking at that Uptown Place. Yes, too much water, but we are still developing water system for next year. Oh, okay, so you're getting ready. Get ready. That's all right. Main thing now, pinning 800 vanilla starts. All right, all right. Radiation makes you think you're going to die. I know, man. It's like I did not realize. I mean, I had 33, man. I had 33 radiation. I still got radiation burns on my neck. My throat is still not the same. It's like I did not realize. I didn't. I had an inkling. I had an inkling that it was not going to be a cakewalk. When you hear radiation, it's like, man, that's like poison to the body. But it is what it is. So 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 sick. Eye candy is awesome. God prayer. Why? For sure. For me, it's like I know. When we lived there for those 4 months, it was just Dazzle and I. Dazzle, our dogs was here in our house. Our relatives were watching our dogs at the time, Chloe and Totoy. We couldn't bring them there because I didn't want to burden Dazzle with walking the dogs and things like that. So it was just Dazzle and I. So really helped me though that Dazzle was with me there 24/7. We tried to have even during my treatments, Dazzle, she was having fun ordering that what was that, Food Panda, because she was trying all the restaurant. I couldn't eat because I was going through the treatments, but Dazzle was enjoying it because she was ordering at all the different restaurants in Iloilo City. Yes, Avida Towers. That's especially, I know, Vaughn, you got kids. I know you're looking at for school for them. My friends live. I have a friend there from Canada, Ivan. He lives there at the Avida Tower, so loves it. It's like a nice tower. He comes down the tower. He's got 7-Eleven across the street. He's got Starbucks, and on across the street where Starbucks is where his kids' school. Ateneo, the Iloilo. So everything's right there for him. He can walk to SNR. He can walk to SM City Iloilo. How convenient is that? Belus, they should make us that of you at least a vanilla ice cream flavor, a Belus vanilla ice cream, a Belus vanilla ice cream. That sounds sweet, JP. The loose vanilla flavored ice cream. I know, right? Captain Ron, hey, Captain Ron. JP, are you healthy again? Oh, he's been healthy. He's been healthy. He's been healthy for more than a week now, man. He's been driving to Panda. He's been riding on his motorbike, Blue Arrow, and everything. What is your next adventure? I will let JP let you guys know about this. I know his next adventure, but I don't want to, say the news. Say the news. JP, all right, from Belize. Captain Ron, I am going on ride with the famous Rocket Jazz today, Friday. I'm going to Batangas with Blue. All right. JP spilled the beans. You spilled the beans. JP is gonna take Blue Arrow. He's gonna go on a ferry, a 12-hour ferry. He's gonna ride the 12-hour ferry from either Caticlan or Roa City, because I'm not sure whether what JP decided, but if he takes the Caticlan route, Caticlan to Batangas, 12 hours on the ferry with his Blue Arrow, and he'll land in Batangas and he'll explore in Batangas with Blue Arrow. That is JP's next adventure. But today he's riding with Rock and Jazz to Ibahay, Aklan. All right, let me see here. All right, I got more articles here. I'm gonna hit this one article. I like this. I saw this article. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. Western Australia, right here. It says Australia looks to the Philippines to fill skilled worker shortages. I get, that's why the Philippines, I know people always say, it's like there's a big thing now. They're worried about, a big industry here in the Philippines is the BPO, the business outsourcing, the process outsourcing. Uh, the Philippines will survive even with AI comes, whatever with that happens, because the Philippines continues to export people. That's the main export of the Philippines. Is well, the Philippines just exports millions of people each year to different countries in the world. Australia just being one of them. Right here, they're recruiting. They're recruiting Filipinos, and The jobs that are in demand, that they want, that they need in Australia: carpenters, bricklayers, and stonemasons, solid plasterers, wall and floor tilers, electricians, plumbers, welders. Those are the type of workers that Australia is needing from the Philippines. Metal fabricators, cabinet makers. And the one thing here in the Philippines that you're not going to run out of is people that are good with their hands. There's so many of them, even here in the province of Atlanta. If I need a carpenter, if I need a electrician, plumber, they're just so good with their hands. A lot of people, it's like handed down. Like grandpa to dad to now the son. Handed down trades here. It's not a problem. In Australia, they're even they're recruiting the Filipinos, right? They're even providing grants. They're providing money, 10,000 Australian dollars. And I don't know how much 10,000 Australian dollars, but they are even offering grants to people that want to go to Australia from the Philippines, willing to give them 10,000 Australian dollars in grant. Visa application, they're going to shoulder the visa application costs, migration agent fees, international relocation expenses. Because Filipinos, um, throughout the world, not just in Australia, even in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all those, they have Filipinos have good reputation as good workers. They know how to follow. It's like one thing about Filipino workers that go overseas when they go on these contracts, they know how to follow. They're not one of those. What is that? They create problem, or they create trouble. Filipinos, man, they'll go to like these different countries, and whatever the boss says, they'll just follow. They know how to follow. That's one of the traits that Filipino have. They're not gonna go there all of a sudden. We need to start a union. We need to start a union. They're not paying us enough. Filipinos just don't do that. They know they go there on their contract, 2, 3, 4, 5 year contract. They perform. They excel. They do their best during that contract. That's why we have that reputation. Filipinos have that reputation all across the world that they want us. They want us. They want us as nurses. They want us as engineers. They want us as like masonry or carpentry, plumbing, electrician, because they can rely on them. And even this, even beyond construction in Australia, they are also recruiting Filipinos to do mining. Mining. That's up Belusa's alley there. I know, but Belusa's a miner back in the day. Clean energy projects, advanced manufacturing, defense industries, infrastructure development. So a lot of, and I know that's one of the countries where a lot of Filipinos go now is Australia. Big population of Filipinos now in Australia. Captain Ron, sounds like fun, JP. Yes, all that money made comes back. Just myself. I spend much labor, lands, farms, people, number one X. It is, right? And when we send people to like Australia, to the Middle East, to Dubai, Saudi or Oman. I mean, Filipinos go to these countries where, man, I'd be kind of scared, even shady, like countries that I might be worried about going. Filipinos will go there, and what do they do? All their money, they're sending it back here to the Philippines. All the savings they save in those different countries, they're buying property here. They're buying land. They're building a house. They're buying vehicles here. That's the thing. That's why the Philippine economy, yeah, it might suffer from the energy crisis. Yeah, tourism is better in Thailand. Tourism is better in Vietnam, but money will keep pouring in here in the Philippines. Dollars will continue to flow in the Philippines because our number one export is the people. We got good reputation for workers coming from the Philippines. Gino, when is the ocean fishing? Can't wait for Dazzle. I have not scheduled the ocean fishing because of Daniel. It was Daniel's idea actually to go on the ocean fishing. That was one of the things. Daniel's the fisherman, and we're waiting on Daniel. Daniel still is in Cebu City. That's why I don't. If I schedule it now, JP probably would be a candidate to attend. Maybe Edgar, maybe I know Dazo will be, but Daniel's the fisherman. Daniel's the one that posts a lot of fishing videos and stuff. So we're waiting on Daniel to join us here. He's trying to finish up his SRRV. It's taking him longer than he predicted because he's getting all his documents apostilled here in the Philippines instead of getting it apostilled in the United States. That's why it's taken so much longer for him on the SRV. But the last time he was on the live stream here, he said maybe in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks, he will join us here in Panay. Derek, Philippines, when the first joined the Navy, they were stewards, cooking for officers, cleaning. Oh yeah, I know. Many Filipinos joined the United States Navy. They weren't even American citizens. They were Filipino citizens back in the day, like at Sangli Point in Cavite, and also U.S. Naval Base in Subic Bay. They were recruiting Filipinos to join the U.S. Navy to do jobs that were, like maybe the low end jobs, on the aircraft carrier or whatnot. But Filipinos, they won't complain, man. They'll just go in there. They're not going to cause any friction. They're just happy that they got a job, and that's what Filipinos, even to this day, Filipinos are just like that. They don't cause a lot of trouble. That's the reputation for Filipinos when they go abroad. They don't want to lose their spot. If you get that grant, you get to Australia, you're just so thankful that you're not in the Philippines. You're just so thankful that you're earning good money in Australia. You're not going to do anything to ruin that. You're not going to commit stuff that will cause trouble in Australia. JD, Gino, have you seen The Boss? I did. I saw the movie. I filmed them. I filmed them yesterday. There should be. I'm thinking maybe. I'll edit it. Coming up videos. I mean, and looks like the Boss Rooster, man. The Boss Rooster is growing his family. Man, he's growing his family. I'm like, every time I see him, he's got like a few more hens, more little chickens with him. I mean, he's got like a big family now. Speaking of mining, I may be headed down south after farms develop. Made a new mining buddy. All right. See, I know, Belize. I know. I remember you mentioning that you're in the mining industry before, Belize. I'm trying to buy a gold nugget. Lot of gold. I know. I've actually seen videos about that, about Filipinos mining for gold here in the Philippines. There's a lot of minerals, a lot of gold, here in the Philippines. And then a lot of times they mine it like very crude way too, right? Because they don't have the equipment, the modern equipment that. Good morning, everyone. The Colonel, hey, the Colonel. See you soon, Colonel. I can't wait, man. Can't wait to finally meet Chriselle, Colonel. Brian. Good morning. Hey, there's Brian. Good morning, Brian. I know, Brian. You're gonna be headed to Calibo soon, right? You're checking out. I think your ACR. I think your ACR card. You should be getting your ACR card. Enjoy your day. Salute, my brother. Salute. I'm kind of sweating now, even, man. Like I said, even with the fan, it just feels like humid. Humid today, man. To all money we spend here, including OFWs. I know, right? Man, that to me, like the OFWs sending money here in the Philippines and the expats moving here to the Philippines, that's a big chunk of like the Philippine economy. It's like I said, I'm not worried too much when I see Thailand, Vietnam always outdoing us when it comes to tourists, but we're not behind when it comes to like permanent residents. To me, the government should focus more on that. They should look at that number more, because a tourist at the most spends like 7 days at a country. A tourist might go to Vietnam. A lot of times they're on a tourist package. They're already staying at the hotel, inclusive hotel food and everything. Whereas the expat that moves to the Philippines, they put in a lot. They're basically spending their pension, like me. My military pension from America. I've been spending it here in the Philippines for the last 15 years. I bought a house, I bought a car, I bought a motorcycle, I bought a tricycle. All my income is being spent here. So to me, it's more valuable to attract. That's why the Philippines. We have that easy SRRV, the retirement visa. People are taking advantage of that, especially military veterans. It's like doesn't cost you a ton of money to do the SRV if you're a military veteran here in the Philippines. JP says, "Good morning, Colonel Derek." Yes, I know, man. That's why I had to take my hat, man. I'm starting to sweat. Yeah, I got a fan hitting me here. My windows are open, but it just feels so humid today. It's definitely habagat, man. Definitely habagat season. Summer was hot because of the sun, but during habagat season, it gets hot here because of the humidity. you know After a downpour, it'll downpour for like an hour. It could happen anytime during the day, morning, afternoon, or evening. After the downpour, man, it gets warm, especially during the day. If we get a downpour during the day and then the sun comes up, man, it gets sticky. It gets sticky and humid here. Brian, gathering documents, and will let you all know when I know which day I'm going to Calibo. All right, we can have a All right, thank you, Brian. That's what I think. I figure you're trying to organize stuff, and you were gonna let me know. So it'll be fun. Be fun to see you again, Brian. Because I know a lot of people that live in Rojas City. Sometimes I know from Antique, they rather do their documents like tourist visa documents here in Calibo. I know Rock and Jazz, they do their uh, their tourist visa also in Calibo because it's never crowded. It's never crowded. It's so easy. You basically just go in there, 10, 15 minutes, you're done. JP has experience. You go there, you pay, you're done. You get your receipt, you're done. It's like, whereas if you go to the other immigration, like in Roa City or Iloilo City, there's more people there. There's more. You might have to wait in a queue. Lowell says, "Morning, Colonel Brian. God bless." Hey, Colonel, how about a meetup with Dazzle and Gino? Maybe a karaoke challenge. We're gonna see the Colonel. At the Canadian Beaver. We're supposed to see each other there. June 14th. June 14th. I don't think they have a karaoke at the. I don't think they have a karaoke at the. But I'm sure if they have a singer there, they'll have sing. It's like I know if they have like a live singer at the Canadian Beaver, they'll give you a mic, man. If you want to sing, you can sing. We planted. Hawaii is too expensive. I know, Derek. I know. That's why it was very smart. Very smart. Derek, he already built a home in Southern Leyte. So even before retiring for good, it's like, and he lives in Hawaii, and that's what Derek is saying. Hawaii is just too expensive for retirement. Now he's all set, man. He's got a home in Southern Leyte, so when he retires here, he's already seen the environment. He's doing his morning walks, afternoon walks. He's gonna have a great life in Southern Leyte. Hey, Castaway Drift, the Duke of Duma, my brother from another Michael S. Good morning, good morning. The Colonel, trust me, the Colonel in karaoke is a scary thing. I'm trying to think, Kurt. I have seen you. I have seen you karaoke at James and Karen's house. I have seen you before. You're not scared, man. It's all good. It's all good, Colonel. All right. The other articles that I saw here mostly talks about military uh, here in the Philippines. Like they had. So I'll talk a little bit about it. It says America just handed the Philippines a warship in front of all of Asia. Is very significant. Pete Hegseth, they and they did it. They did it in front of a. They had a, I guess, Southeast Asian countries in front of everybody. In front of everybody, where the United States says here the strategic way of America's Coast Guard transfer to the Philippines at Shangri-La, a Coast Guard vessel transferred announced at Shangri-La, is calibrated messaging. I'm sure Pete Hegseth, when he did this, it's it's a big announcement. Basically, to me, it's one thing to side with like China or side with the U.S. It's another thing when you're handing them, kind of like the keys to a warship. Here you go. You're giving you a warship. Go patrol the West Philippine Sea and block all the Chinese vessels that's trying to enter your jurisdiction. And not just the U.S. Not just the U.S. handing the Philippines the warship. Japan, Japan moved to fast track warship and aircraft transfers as defense ties deepen. What Japan is doing, they have a lot of destroyers, Navy ships in Japan that they were going to retire because they modernized. But instead of retiring what they're using right now, they're going to hand it to the Philippines, for free, no charge. You're not in debt. You're not in debt, but just handing it. So just the Philippines to me is just in a good position. You're getting help from America, you're getting help from Japan, from South Korea, from Australia, because these countries know the importance of the Philippines remaining free, remaining independent. They want to protect. These countries, they want to protect the Philippines from China. All right, let me delete these. That way, I'm done with that. Derek, praying for mom. Yes, I know, I know. Michael and I, we video called. Actually, Michael video called me the other day for sure. Praying for your mom for sure, Michael. Boracay is a very expensive place to retire. Um, well, it depends. I mean, you can live. It's not for the budget retirement. Like, let me put that way. Let me see. Totoy wants to go out. I mean, that's pretty much with any tourist destination in the world, right? If you decide to retire in Waikiki in Hawaii, it'd be the same. Boracay is the number one tourist destination in the Philippines. So if you're retiring in Boracay, uh, it can get expensive. But I know for Merle, I know you're sticking to like $1,000 a month budget, right, Merle? Including your housing and food for Merle. That's like his goal every month is a $1,000 retirement in Boracay Island. And I know you can do it because I did it with less. I did it with less when I lived in Boracay. But then again, I'm frugal than most people. I know there's certain things. I can take a shower in a like a bucket and tabo. That doesn't bother me. It's like I know that could be an issue with Westerners. You like your hot shower. You like those kind of things. I can live in a studio apartment with minimal things in a studio apartment. I can live with that. It's like Castaway Drift. Good morning and thank you, Derek, for sure, for sure. We're all praying for your mom, for sure, Michael. Ace versus Cubs starting. All right, all right. The Cubbies, the Cubbies. Merle, I was joking, Kuya Gino. Oh, okay, you're joking. Yeah, yeah. I never know when people are joking. I don't know. I know that was your budget. I know you're trying to stick with $1,000 a month living in Boracay. So to me, that's not expensive. If you can live on $1,000 anywhere in the world now, that's pretty good. Especially if you're living in a tourist destination, where people dream. It's like paradise in Boracay, and you can live there on $1,000 a month, man. To me, that's a blessing. I take cold showers here. Yeah, right. Yeah, man. Like right now, as sweaty. I'm starting to feel sweaty. When I take a shower, it's gonna be a cold shower. I don't have a hot shower. I don't have one of those contraption in our bathroom. You know, our hot shower, like Leanna, when she likes to do a hot shower. See that hot pot are there? She'll heat water and put it in a bucket and add that cold water. Now, Leanna does that sometimes. When she's cold, she says, there's some days during the rainy season, she said, Kuya, it's too cold for me to take a shower. So she'll boil some water. Vaughn, Daniel. Oh, Daniel's here. I haven't seen Daniel. I didn't notice Daniel. Let me see if Daniel. I didn't see Daniel yet. All right. Okay, let me see. Do I? Oh, I still have a little bit of time. I can hit this topic really quick. Just so I can discuss a topic. Since I'm done with all my news articles that I've collected. Um, this the topic I'm called titled the topic, the Philippines a retirement haven for many, and I'm seeing this more and more. Like I've been mentioning, it's like I've never been so busy with people contacting me. I get a new person almost every week now contacting me. Hey, Gino, uh, I want to check out the Philippines. What are your recommendations and all that? So I've never been busier than I've been doing YouTube for over 4 years now. This is the busiest time I've ever done it. And a lot of it because like in the United States, in America, I've mentioned this before. The average Social Security is $1,700, and many Americans are finding out uh, 1,700 is just not enough to retire on, and some don't even get that. I've even gotten messages, man, I wish I was getting 1,700. I've even heard that. I know Stevie told me, man, I wish my Social Security was 1,700. But that's the thing, so people, and it's not just the Philippines, some go to Mexico, Panama, Portugal, other Vietnam, all that. But that's happening. There's really, I think this time, and I think it's just gonna be more Americans are going to leave America, especially at retirement age, because it just doesn't make sense to live in the United States, especially if you're living on your Social Security alone. Now, if you got money, if you got other pension, military pension, Social Security, disability, you're fine in America. And I've always told everybody this: if you can afford retirement in the US, it's the better place. It's like, why would you go from a developed country, everything's convenient, everything's efficient, to a developing country where everything's a struggle? All the processing, the processes here, government agencies, going to the bank, going to the grocery, everything's a struggle here. You got to adjust here. The reason that a lot of us come here to the Philippines is this is what we can afford in retirement. I was able to retire early. I was able to retire on my military pension alone 15 years ago because I can afford it here. I can have a good life here on my military pension alone. I can save money. I've accumulated things here that has value, like our home now. In 4 years, this house will be paid off in pretty good amount that it's appreciated in price. I can pay cash for a vehicle. I've never done that in my years in the United States. I've never been able to pay cash for a car. Brand new Toyota Vigo, when I bought it in 2019, I paid cash from savings from my retirement pension that I saved here. It's doable here. Whereas in America, so a lot of people are realizing it. It's just gotten so expensive. That's why many have looked for the Philippines as a retirement haven. They are coming here in droves. It's almost a flood of Americans coming here with their pension. I even talked to a couple that Philippine American. I can tell they're well off in the United States. They're not struggling. They just sold their house in Valencia, in Dumaguete. They lived there for 10 years. They just sold it. They were splitting their time with America and here in the Philippines. Now they decided they just gonna live fully here in the Philippines because they just feel like it's more affordable. They're Filipino Americans, you know. For us Filipino Americans, it's always the dream to be back in the Philippines. You know, it's like very rare do I meet a Filipino American. Maybe the ones that were born in the United States, it's a different ones. But the ones that came from the Philippines and migrated to the US, it doesn't matter if they've been in the US 20, 30, 40 years. It's a dream for those people to come back here because this is home. This is home here in the Philippines. America is the place where we earn the money, we make our living, we save, but home is always going to be the Philippines for many of us that made it to America. We're all grateful. We're all grateful for the opportunities that we got in America, but this is home. The Philippines is home for many of us. The one of the important things, you know, if you are thinking of moving here in the Philippines, a big piece of it is your health. You know, I've always said this. You know, you have to be in good health if you're coming to the Philippines. If you have a lot of conditions that will cost you money here in the Philippines, you know, if you're Medicare age at 65, there is no Medicare here in the Philippines. So that's a big factor. That's why a lot of Filipinos that I know that have contacted me, Filipino Americans in the US, they just can't come to the Philippines because there's no Medicare here. And that's their primary source of medical insurance in the United States. So it makes sense. But if you tell them that, man, if I was just healthy, if I didn't have any illness, I would be in the Philippines in a minute. You know, they won't even second guess it. But that's a big piece. You know, you have to consider that. You know, the people that I've seen that gotten in trouble here in the Philippines. There's actually a lady on Facebook. You know, she helps people go back to their country. You know, it's like you see these guys become homeless here in the Philippines. Those a lot of times those are the people that get ill here. They get sick here in the Philippines, and they weren't prepared. You know, they did not have like a medical emergency fund. You know, some of them come here. Maybe in the beginning they thought, oh, I got $50,000. I'm going to the Philippines. I should live good, but they weren't careful with their money. For most of the instances that I've seen, that people that failed here, that is one thing I always tell people when they move here. Ruben, even JP, when we talk, you got to be disciplined when you move here to the Philippines. If you're like Merle's coming here. He says my budget is $1,000 a month living in Boracay. You got to be disciplined. You got to like these are plans you put on your head before you got here. You got to once you get here, you got to put it in effect. All the planning you can do is a waste of planning if you don't execute it, you know. And if you execute it here, you can have a good life here if you stick to your plan. If you stick, you know, you come here, you budget, you're disciplined with your money. I always tell people when you land here in the Philippines, your first 6 months here, track your expenses every month. Open that Excel spreadsheet in your laptop, put in there like monthly expenses, put all your expenses. See month number one, how much did you spend? Month number two, how much did you spend? I know JP does it. And once you figure out that, hey, I am making it work, you know, I am spending less here, I am saving money here, you got it made. The people that get in trouble here all the time are the ones that don't do that. They're not disciplined with their retirement. You know, they're not realistic. You know, if you come here and you live below your means, man, you're gonna have a good life here. You know, you'll be saving money in retirement. And how awesome is that when you can say that man, I'm retired, but I'm still saving money in retirement. So to me, you got it made once you get to that position. But like I said, the horror stories, the failures of some people here, a lot of times they don't execute their plan. And then a lot of times they take on responsibility that to me, if you're in a position, like let's say, I'm gonna give you an example. If you come here to the Philippines on Social Security alone, you're coming here with $1,700, right? You're coming in here with that money. You found a good place. You saved your money. You're putting away part of your retirement, part of the money that you would have been paying Medicare. You canceled your Medicare. You're building your medical emergency fund, $225 a month. You're building that money. You're having a medical emergency fund. Everything's going good. It's like you're executing your plan. A lot of times what I've seen is, people lose their minds when they meet the Filipina. It's like, like I've said it many times, that Filipina that you meet here, it has to be the right Filipina. You meet the right Filipina here, your life is going to be amazing. And when I say meet the right Filipina, let's say you're on a tight budget like that, right? You're like $1,700. The Filipina that you want to meet is the Filipina that works, right? You don't want the Filipina to be you're already on a tight budget. You meet a Filipina, that's going to creep into your budget. So your goal should be to meet a Filipina that, at least a Filipina that works, the Filipina that can support herself. And there's many Filipinas here in the Philippines like that. Don't meet the Filipina that's going to be relying on you 100% on on her lifestyle. And sometimes even see what's worse is people that's on a budget. Now, if you have a lot of money, if you have money like you got money to blow, find yourself any Filipino you can afford, you know but if you're on that tight budget, you meet the wrong you meet the wrong Filipina. Filipina might have like couple of kids. Now you're supporting the Filipina, now you're paying for the Filipina's kids, and then the next thing you know, you're paying for other family members. That's when expats here get in trouble. Again, discipline. They weren't disciplined to execute their plan. They might have started out well when they get here, but a lot of times what I've seen, uh, that that picking the right Filipina, that's been the mistake of many, that I've seen here. There's mom. Good morning, mom. Oh, Brian from one. Nice guys are always busy. Nice guys are. Merle, I always feed Totoy Pogi. He hangs out with me. I know. I saw your pictures with Totoy Pogi. And the worker at Jasper asked me, "Where's your friend, sir?" I said, "Kuya Gino went back to good food at Jasper's." Yeah, that's like I'm glad that you like the food there because big selection, right? For carinderia food in Boracay. Colonel, the Philippines is a very inviting country, particularly on the island. Yes, right? Uh, and that's the thing. I've mentioned that before, Colonel. It's like I challenge an American to find a more friendlier country than the Philippines when it comes to American. It's like a lot of times, Americans, even now, I don't think we're that welcome in Canada now. It's like, I know in Europe, there's many countries in Europe, they're not particularly nice to Americans. And even in Southeast Asia, yeah, in Thailand, they're nice to Americans. In Vietnam, they're nice to Americans. But the language barrier that you will encounter in Vietnam and Thailand. Here in the Philippines, I mean, it might not be like the English that you're used to in America, but a lot of times, anywhere you go in the Philippines, you're at least able to communicate with the locals, and you will meet the friendliest people here in the Philippines. Filipinos have always loved Americans. That's just the fact. It's like, of course, there's some, at any country that might not agree with that statement, but for the most part, Filipinos I know love American food, American anything, Nikes, anything American, Filipinos just love. And then if you're a Filipina and you start dating an American, all the relatives are like, "Ooh, you're dating American, Afam." It's not it's not looked upon as like if you go to Japan or you go to like South Korea. I went to those places. If you're an American in those places and you start dating a Japanese woman or a South Korean woman, a lot of the parents, especially the older generation, they don't like that. They want their daughter to be with a South Korean. They want their daughter to be with a Japanese. In the Philippines, man, when you date a Filipina here, the parents are like happy that you're, wow, you found an American. You Gino is inadvertently creating a small bubble in Panay Island, and we are all part of it. I don't know about a bubble. I don't know about a bubble one, but I'm always eager to help, because I know it's fun for me. It's fun for me to see people find good lives here in Panay Island. There he is, the Daniel, the myth, the legend, Daniel. Howdy, good morning to all my posse brothers. Captain Sully, hey Gino, glad to catch. All right, good to have you. Good to have you on the live stream, Captain Sully. JP Calibo, good morning, Daniel. Bon, correction, we are all creating a bubble. There you go. You're the posse. I didn't create the Panay posse. That was Daniel. He's the one that created the Panay posse. Good morning, Bon. Still in Iloilo. He's in Bacolod City. Bon is in Bacolod City. Bon will be in the Texas Filipino property on 7th of June. That's my first trip to Panay. Oh, right. Wow. First trip. First trip to Panay Island. The 8th. Oh, okay. I'll message you. All right. There you go. You can meet the colonel once you get to Iloilo City. Soon I post a blog on how insane all the price increases are in the US. From the 20s to 70s, folks just can't keep up with the cost. For sure, right? I see that. Like the news and the videos that I watch in America, people that I know that communicate with me, they tell me it's just not affordable, especially if you're on Social Security alone or $1,700. It is hard to live in America with that amount of money. You hear $1,700, you come here to Calibo, you're single, you can have a good life here. Awesome Blossom Colonel from Vine. Good day, Gino fam and the Panay Posse for Fortune. My brother in Bacoor, Cavite. Good morning, Fortune. I know you're busy at work. I know, Fortune, you're busy. You're in the office. You're not work from home this week. I know you got like 4 consecutive days of working in the office. Daniel, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel is here. He is the one who wanted. Yeah, I know. We're waiting on him. That's why I haven't scheduled anything with my friend Sparrow because I would hate to go fishing without Daniel. Since I know out of everybody, I think Daniel's the really avid fisherman. So I would hate to not include Daniel on the ocean fishing. Good AM, Beluz, Lowell, Vaughn, Merle, and Derek from Fortune, GP. Good morning, Master Yoda, Fortune. Indeed, I am fortunate to be in the presence of Fortune Ibiernes. All right. And Fortune, he's headed to Bohol here soon. I know it's just a matter of days. He's going to be vacationing in Bohol. Should be a great vacation for Fortune and his family, man. That's going to be awesome. Emilio, JP, Captain Run. JP, Rock and Jazz on Panay Loop. Are you doing? He's gonna do a segment of it. He's gonna ride with Rock and Jazz today to Ibahay. Was JP's that whole loop to do that whole loop? That's quite a challenge. That's gonna be, that's gonna be hard on a motorbike. I know, that's not easy to do on a motorbike. That whole loop. Good AM, Colonel Brian from Fortune. Good AM, Mike, the Duke of Duma. I think Rizal lost her mind. Falling for me? Hey, man, she hasn't lost her mind, man. She hasn't lost her mind. She picked the right person, Colonel. You're a good person. Good AM, Daniel. For Juan, enjoying Iloilo. Actually, he's still in Bacolod. I thought he'd be in Iloilo by now, but Juan is still in Bacolod. He said he's gonna be a Texas Filipino in June 7th. June 7th. So 4 days. 4 days. Fortune, I am just doing a short piece because I have plans. Yeah, that's right. Fortune, JP's gonna be close to where you are in Cavite. He's gonna be in Batangas. He's gonna take Blue Arrow on the ferry, man. That's gonna be. Uh, I know Blue Arrow's ridden that small boat, not the ferry, that small boat. Like I think in Batan, I think JP took Blue Arrow. The Air Rocks 155, but he's gonna take a Blue Arrow on an adventure. 12 hours on a ferry from here in Panay Island all the way to Batangas Port. He's gonna take a Blue Arrow. Plans change for hey, that's all right, Juan. That's all right. Plans always change, man. That's all right. I sent Gino latest vids of Malumpati. They have added. Oh wow, a slide, man. Thank you for that, Fortune. I might have to go there now. I like water slides. Oh, okay, all right. Thank you for that, Fortune. Hey, that might be a getaway before school starts on Monday. Leanna starts school on Monday. We still got a couple of days here. Maybe we should head to Malumpati. I'd like to check that out for sure. Okay, JP, enjoy. Bye. We will not be in Iloilo till 7th. First stop, Texas Filipino. Colonel, you and Crizel are meant to be, for sure, for sure. Lovely couple. I mean, you can tell they got chemistry, right? I can see it on the videos. They got chemistry. They're always like making fun of each other and laughing, and that's the main thing. And it's having fun, having fun. JP, hit the like, people. I have take Blue Arrow to get service. All right. Take care of Blue Arrow, man. Blue Arrow's taking care of JP. JP's been riding Blue Arrow here in Aklan to Pandan Antique. I know twice. To Katiklan even. We went to Katiklan. So JP's been riding his Blue Arrow motorcycle. Captain Sully, the Filipinos are very friendly. Just curious that when you are walking on the streets, they expect you to walk around them. They will not move until the last second, then they move a little bit. Yeah, I don't experience a lot of that because I walk in my subdivision here. Maybe like in a city, maybe in a crowded area. Um, yeah, there's just, I mean, it's just the culture. A lot of it is culture, Captain Sully. A lot of things that you're used to in your country, like in your country, I know people open doors, like even at the mall. You might not see that here. Filipinos was like open the door and just like let go of the door. That stuff happens. Uh, I know people that's not from here, they notice that. But for locals here, that me, I've been here 15 years. To me, it's just it's the way they do things here. There's a lot of things here that you will notice the way Filipinos do it. It might not be what you're used to, but they're not going to change for you. So to me, I've just learned to accept the way they do things here. Do people cut in line here? Yes. I've seen people cut in front of me here. But to me, do I stress myself? Hey, you're cutting in front of me. I don't stress it. I'm retired. It's like, it's the way they do things here. I just like, I go with the flow. It's like, uh, you're the ones that are gonna adjust to the way they do things here. Like if something bothers you, if you're walking and they're blocking you, they're not getting out of your way, You're gonna be the one adjusting. They're not gonna change their ways. It's kind of like when I go to different countries. I've lived in South Korea. I lived in Japan. I don't expect them to like act like an American. That's their country. I'm the one that adjusting to them. I'm a visitor. I'm a guest. This is not my. If I'm visiting another country, uh, you're not in your own country. Now, if you're in America, that you might find things that offends you. Hey, you can say something. That's your country. Hey, the immigrants that go to the illegals now in America. If you tell, hey, you can't be doing that here. This is America. You can do that, but here in the Philippines, when you come here, you're the guest here. You're the guest here. You chose to come here. It's not nobody forced you to come to the Philippines. Is all I'm saying. You're the one that has to adapt to the way Filipinos do things. They're not going to change for you. I know that. I know that. It's like Filipinos. They're stubborn in that way. Yeah, they're set in their ways. They're not going to change, especially for a foreigner here. Lowell, morning fortune. God bless. At least some of them do that. At least some of them do that, Captain Sully. With anything else, right, Captain Sully? There with any culture, American, anywhere you go in the world, there's just people that are good, and there's people that maybe well mannered, maybe their parents raised them well, like and then there's just people that it's same thing in America. If you grew up in the ghetto in America, if you live in you grew up in the poor areas in America, you're not going to have the same respect or like so the Philippines is no different. That's all I'm saying. Like I know for people like Fortune, he's well educated, he's a banker, his wife's an ER doc, his kids, they're gonna be well behaved people, respectful people, because they're well educated. Now, you know, if you go to like the slum areas here in the Philippines, like a lot of vloggers, they like to film the slum areas of Tondo and places where poor people live here. Of course, they're not gonna act, they're gonna be rude. That's what they're used to. That's what they don't know. They haven't been taught well. Fortune, BSP is here for audit whole month. Ooh, wow, wow. Banco Central of the Philippines. We can only with on Fridays because government employees like also work from home. They're also, yeah, I know. Even here in Aklan province, all the government workers here, Fortune, they've been working for home on Fridays, but I think starting July 1, they're back in their office. They made an announcement here in Aklan for government employees. No more work from home on Fridays because they did that because to save money during the energy crisis. But prices have dropped. Yesterday, I got gas in Numancia, and I paid 74 pesos. That's pretty good. I'm not complaining. Before the energy crisis was around 60. So from 60 pesos per liter to 74, that's not bad at all. I'll take that. I'll take that any day. June 12th. Well, all right, you're leaving on Independence Day. Independence Day here in the Philippines is June 12th. That's the Philippine Independence Day. So Fortune, he's going to Bohol on the 12th. I'll remember that. I'll remember that now, Fortune. I have finalized the airport transfer and the countryside tour. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Looking forward to rock and jazz next video. All right, all right. There. Thanks, Vaughn. I'm using my new word a lot. Charot. Char and charot. That's funny, Colonel. You're using char now and charot. I don't use that. I don't use that, Colonel. But I know that's a Filipino thing when they say char or charot. Is JP going further than Batangas? Right now, his plan is Batangas, but I don't know. I don't know how far. Batangas is pretty good area already to explore, right? Fortune, Cavite. I don't know if JP is going to be bold enough to ride to Cavite because I know probably more traffic in Cavite than in just Batangas. I don't know. I know you know it more than I do, Fortune. I don't know if JP's gonna be brave enough to ride Blue Arrow in significantly heavy traffic. Good morning, Angeli and Mom. All right, she's running around here, Colonel. She's doing the laundry. I can hear her doing laundry outside. Colonel, a fun way to say just kidding. Yep, just kidding. For Gino, I didn't load pala. Instead, I tagged you on my. Okay, no worries, no worries. I'll check it out for sure because I'm curious now that you mentioned that, Fortune. Because Malumpati from my house here, I can be on the river in Malumpati in 1 hour. It's so close to our house. So if they got water slides now, man, I want to try those water slides. Yeah, I'll definitely I'll check it out. I'll check it out after the live. LOL, Colonel Char. One, Charlotte and Char can diffuse a serious conversation. Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're trying to be funny in the Philippines, always say, if you're trying to be sarcastic, I know Americans, they love to be sarcastic. And if you say something sarcastic in English, just say joke lang at the end. If you say joke lang, then, oh, okay, it's just a joke. So people won't take. But if you say something sarcastic, a lot of times when you say something sarcastic, you kind of have the dead face, right? Like a deadpan look. That might not go well with Filipinos because they might think you're serious. They might think you're serious. And jokes anyway. Period. You got to be careful with that here in the Philippines. Like I said, if you're gonna joke, put joke lang. Like even earlier, Merle says something about it's expensive in Boracay. Here I am. I'm always telling you guys it's affordable in Boracay. And then later on, he adds joke lang. So I know he was joking, but that's not the message I have shared before. Like I've said before, you can enjoy a retirement in Boracay at a lower price. Like I said, Merle, look at it, $1,000 a month, retired, living in Boracay Island. So to me that's inexpensive for a tourist destination, for a paradise setting, to be able to retire there on $1,000 a month. Sure. Captain Sully, thanks for the explanation. We'll have the excuse ready for them. LOL. Yeah. That's the thing with Filipinos, Captain Sully. Not everybody will say, excuse me. That's one thing that I know aggravates expats here. Me, that's so common, right? If I'm, hey, excuse me, if I will, if they're blocking my way at a mall or something, excuse me, please, or at the grocery. Filipinos, there's a lot of Filipinos that they don't say excuse me. They just got go through you. You could be standing there and they'll just bump you and not even say, "Oh, I'm sorry." They won't even do that. They'll just like and sometimes you got to be careful with that. When somebody bumps you, check your wallet. Check your wallet because they might be picking your wallet. Don't put your wallet in your back pocket. Always in the front, and always don't carry important things in your wallet because so many pickpockets here. And again, if they bump you, check your wallet. That's the first thing you got to do, man, when somebody bumps you, because that's a common technique here. It's like bumping and taking your wallet. I lived in a cheap area in Ohio and I adjusted just fine to all the places around Cebu. People in Lima, yeah, it's the same thing, right? Like I'm saying, the Philippines is no different. Like in America, when I lived in Los Angeles, if I go to East LA and if I go to Compton, you know, you got to be on alert. You got to be like, you got to be looking around because somebody will jack you or somebody will mug you in that area. So, or don't go out there at nighttime, right? You don't want to be walking around East LA at nighttime. It's like there's like drive-bys and all that happening. So it's the same thing in the Philippines. There's just areas here. There's things that you don't do here. Nighttime. If you're in Metro Manila, once it gets dark, don't be going in alleys. Don't be going into like Tondo area of Manila at nighttime. It's like no different than in the United States or anywhere in the world. Mean in Lima. Griselle is gorgeous, Colonel. You guys are great together. Sing to her. All right. Right, Catherine. Hello, there's Niels. Niels in Phoenix, Arizona. Niels, hello, my friend. 74 is good. My lowest so far is 73. Yeah, right now I'm not complaining anymore. I mean, we have gone from the highest I paid from the fuel crisis about a month and a half ago. I paid 104 per liter of 104 pesos per liter. Now I'm paying 74. So big decrease. So now I'm fine. Now I can drive again. Now I can drive my car again. Now I'm ready to go to Rojas City, Canadian Beaver on the 14th, drive my car because now the gas is not so expensive. But when it was like 104 pesos per liter, I was like, man, I didn't know, I did not want to drive my car, man. Fortune char means joke only. Yeah, joke lang, joke only. Charot. If he goes to Tagaytay, just okay, but to Bacoor, there, yeah, That's what you know. That's what I was thinking. Fortune, yeah, yeah, that'll be too hard. On even here in Calibo, JP avoids like the rush hour. He takes the back road, like the diversion road. He does. He's not comfortable enough to ride in the heavy traffic, especially not like Metro Manila or Cavite style traffic. He's not like James. James and Karen, man. I remember watching James driving in Cebu City, man. James, yeah, he could. James is basically a Filipino on a motorbike, man. He is like fearless, He can ride anywhere. James can ride anywhere on a motorbike. He's like an expert riding a motorcycle. I don't carry my wallet anymore, but it has a large chain. Oh, okay, large chain. I've seen those. I've seen where the large chain. Uh, but just be aware of that. It doesn't matter where you are in the Philippines. If you're in a city in the Philippines, Calibo, anywhere you are in the Philippines, Boracay, it doesn't matter. Always protect your wallet because there are pickpockets in the Philippines. It is what it is. It is what it is. Just be careful with that. Before the Philippines, I was staying in a 50-year-old old ghetto apartment in Florida. The gators were nicer than those that live around. Man, I'm happy for you now, though, Daniel, that you don't have to live in that kind of environment. And at least now you get to pick. You get to pick with your income here in the Philippines. You're gonna be living in nice areas here. Wow, Juan, Daniel. That apartment was costing me 1,500 plus living in the area that was 75% illegals all around. Yeah, it's like I'm glad you made it out. I'm glad you made it out. You're gonna have a with the money, with the income that you bring here, you're gonna have a better life here than living in that kind of area. All right, let me finish up on this. Let me see here. I mentioned about it's always good to have like an emergency medical fund. A lot of people here, most of the Medicare age people that I meet here, they turn down their Medicare Part B because that's an extra 225 that you have to pay into Medicare. Since you cannot use Medicare here, a lot of people just cancel that medical Part B, save that money, and build their that's very common for most of the expats that I know here that are over 65. For me, I have to sign up for Medicare Part B because I'm with TRICARE. It's a requirement. If you're using TRICARE in the Philippines, medical retirees here, we're using TRICARE insurance. We are required to join Medicare, even though we can't use it here. Uh, it, it's we have to sign up for it. We can't use it here, but TRICARE becomes our primary because it's just a requirement by TRICARE. The other thing I wanted to end, I'm getting to the 2 hour mark here. I wanted to end the live stream, talk about this since I was talking about the topic here. One of the things, if you got issues, like one of the issues I see, if you have issues with alcohol, if you have an alcohol problem in the US, the Philippines probably is not a good place for you to come. Yeah, I'm just saying that because alcohol is like cheaper here, more accessible here. And a lot of Filipinos that you'll meet here love to drink, so that might, and a lot of expats, with the expat friends that I've met, we're kind of all the same. I've noticed we're not drinkers. I'm not a drink. I don't drink alcohol. So it's kind of like the same, I've noticed. Uh, but there's groups here, like, especially if you go to places like Angeles City, Dumaguete City, I know all they do is drink. They drink all the time. So might not be a good environment if you're recovering alcoholic or something like that. Definitely not the place. If you like marijuana, the Philippines is not gonna be for you if you like marijuana in America because it's illegal here. Uh, Marijuana is considered like meth here. It's like if you get caught with like a one joint here, you're going to go to jail here. Quickest way for you to get deported here. And the last thing, if you got like anger issues and you got anxiety issues, the thing, at least in the US, there's a lot of therapists, mental health therapists in the US that you can talk to. uh, I don't think there's that many of them here in the Philippines. It's like, I know here in Calibo, it's not a common thing with Filipinos. Like in the US, when I lived in the US 15 years ago, you just notice like coworkers, friends, they're in therapy, right? You always hear, I'm in therapy, I'm doing therapy. Here in the Philippines, I don't hear a lot of Filipinos on therapy. So if you got those anxiety issues, uh, uh, anger issues, especially if you're like anger management issues in the US, if you get triggered, if you're like in the US and you get road rage, that kind of thing in the US, the Philippines might not be for you because if anything, that's going to be exasperated here. It's going to be amplified here. Your anxiety and your anger issues are going to be exasperated here because a lot of things will upset you here. A lot of things don't work efficient in the Philippines, and I've seen that in many instances here. Unfortunately, I've seen foreigners here where sometimes I'm sitting at the mall, at a line at the grocery, and you just see them making a scene. They're freaking out, yelling at the people, at the workers and everything. And I'm going like, dang, I just want to say that because if you got those issues, uh, solve those first before you come to the Philippines. Get that treated in the United States before you come here, because chances are there's not going to be that support system for that here, like anger management, anxiety. There's I don't hear a lot of therapists here. I've never seen a therapist, mental health therapist in Calibo. So that might not be available for you here. Okay, let me just finish the comments here, then I can end the live stream here. Daniel from the man. You the man, Daniel from Vaughn. Daniel grew up in Florida. Any body of water had gators in it, but fried gator tail tastes great. Fried gator tail tastes great. I've never had that. I've never had gator tail, but I've had crocodile sisig. I've had they used to serve it in Boracay at the Boom Boom Bar, and I tried it. Tastes like chicken. Tastes like chicken. You're an inspiration, Daniel. Captain Ron, gator, pretty good chow. Captain Ron, it tastes like, yeah, it tastes like chicken. I tried it. It was served in like a hot plate, and it was crocodile slices of crocodile. They made it a sisig. I tasted it. It tastes like chicken. Chicken that bites back. Chicken that bites back. Tastes like chicken. Flaky like fish. Flaky like fish. All right, I'm gonna end the live stream right here. I'm at the 2 hour mark. I try to limit the live streams at 2 hour. Mood altering medications are not really available here. Yeah, like I said, like I know marijuana, heredity, medical marijuana, that's not available. Anything to do with marijuana is not available legally anyway. I mean, there's marijuana here, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be illegal marijuana here. So you don't want to be involved with that. Yeah. That will get you deported. Take care, enjoy. All right, take care, Lowell. Tell the girls hello. All right, I will. God bless, brother. Dazzle, why don't you join James and Karen live? I don't know. We don't really. Uh, I don't really do many like live streams with other people because that's their channel. I'm sure they got different. I think I've only done it once. And um, Gino, I mean. Have a good one, Gino. Thanks for the live stream, Captain Sully. All right, you're welcome. They are they're inviting me. All right, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that technical as far as like if I can just join their live stream. All right. All right, take care, everyone. I just want to end the light. Like I said, 2 hour mark. That's usually my limit. Thank you for joining the live stream. Go on there. Yeah, I've gone on there live many times. It's like uh, to me, it's like I never really have guests on my live stream. It's not one of the things I do because usually it's people come to my channel for the news for we're kind of like two different channels. They do a more adventure channel. Like I don't really do like the. I don't ride motorcycles. I don't do. They are having a joint live. Oh, okay, joint live. I'm good, man. I just did 2 hours of live stream. I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I'll watch their live stream. But I just did. I've been talking for 2 hours, so I'm gonna eat breakfast. I'm gonna eat breakfast now. Stone Cold. All right. Take care, everyone. No worries. All right. No worries. Take care, everyone. Have a good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Everyone, stay blessed. Stay blessed.